There's nothing like a picture to help see what something looks like. It's a pretty small space when you look at it in this perspective. Hi, I'm Mark, and in this episode, the fourth episode in a series of videos where we take a look at Gizmo, our 2013 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Rubicon Expedition build. We're actually looking back in time to 2014. If you haven't watched the previous three videos, I suggest you do it now because it'll really help you in seeing where we're at today in this process. If you remember in the last video, we stripped the vehicle down and got the old deck out. It was a prototype, as we mentioned, and it really worked well. There was a few tweaks we always wanted to make, so we thought, what better time than now to show you how to build a deck? And I think you'll find it really interesting how we do it. Let's get started. Okay, let's take a look at the board that we had in the Jeep. This is the National Luna fridge base that's used to attach it to the floor if you don't have it on a sliding system or some other type of thing. This is where it would sit. The holes are lined up right now. It's just loose. And we had the two 1650 pellet cases stand vertical here. The water jugs sit here. And the big 1660 fits here. So, and then there's some room here for the chairs. And we have some loose stuff that we can fit in the middle here. Jeep bodies as a whole can be somewhat inconsistent from one vehicle to another. Really, the only key dimension you're really going to need to work out, depending on the model of your Jeep. These four are the crucial ones. The rest doesn't matter. You could change this any way you want that fits your goals and what you're trying to achieve. But basically, the way I did it was I took a bolt that was the right size, took the head off the bolt, and then what I did is I ground a sharp pin, almost like a pencil, on the top with just a grinder, and I screwed them in, and I measured up from the floor to the same height on each one. I had Nicole help me just bring it in, and I set it down where I wanted it in the position, and I took a hammer, and I went boom, 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 and it put a mark on the board. It was like a center punch going in to mark our holes. The thing to remember is that the dimensions here really aren't very critical. You know, there's enough room around here to make it work. This one is a bit tight because you've got the wheel wells starting to come up here, but I wanted to have room to get cables, so pretty much we've got finger room all the way around. Just to recap the dimensions. The length is 66 3/4. The width will be 48 inches at this end, and at this piece it is 38 1/4. This is the crucial dimension because we have to clear the wheel well. 40 inches. So and the angle is 45. As far as this goes, it should be recessed by, in fact, I'll give you the dimension here. 65. Now, that should work. You may need to increase it if you have to. We come in from this dimension, 5 inches. 5 inches, and from this way is 29 1/2. The angle is what it is. You're going to go from there to there and just mark it out. Now, this is the material we're going to use. You can see the type of shop plywood I'm using is very dense and many layers of quality material. It's Baltic birch, and it is 1/2 inch shop material. We should be able to get everything out of this piece. But I'm going to show you how to make a cutting guide that'll be useful anytime you need to break down large wood like this. Now, you have the option of, if you have something like I do, which is that, but I'm going to show you how to make something really simple that works exceptionally well. I've uploaded a 10-minute video to show you how to build the cutting guide. A card should be peering up above right now. You don't need a big table saw to do great cuts. I'm going to use that cutting board I made in the video to cut our main board down to 66 3/4 inches. You'll see how easy it is to use. All you got to do is measure, clamp, and cut. Those cutting boards are a really good way to cut up sheet goods like this. I think everybody should have one of those boards, and especially when you're making things that involve large pieces of wood, it's very useful to have. You don't need a big saw to make great cuts. Okay, well, let's mark the 45s. 40 inches. We got a 48-inch width material here, and we are going to need to narrow this section down to 38 1/4, and we're going to need a 45-inch degree cut from the 40-inch position in out. So when you subtract 38 1/4 from 48, you end up with 9 3/4 inches, and of course we're going to need to divide that into 2. So it's 4 7/8 is the magic number here. Let's just run off a piece of line. Oh, let's go about 5 inches. Now we got to go in 4 7/8. The reason we want the line here is we're going to come in from down there and cut up to the line. So that one we want to pay attention to. Now, we know it's 45, so there's our mark. Done. Same on the other side. 4 7/8. There we go. We're going to come in and from here and cut up to this line. Same on that side, and then we're going to come in from here and go to that line there. Now, let's cut that. You could cut it with the cutting board like I've got laid out here. You just have to do a plunge cut down on the opposite side. But okay, we'll cut this last little piece of angle by freehand. Let's do the other side quick. Okay, let's cut out the back corner here. Okay, so let's cut the 3 pieces that are left to make here. Okay, but they're not the same length. This one is a little bit taller at 7.5 inches. The back one here is at 7 1/8. Okay, let's cut the first one. We'll do 7.5, and there we go. Already set it. Next, we'll go down to 7 1/8. That out of the way. There we go. We're going to lose about 5/8 of an inch. That's all. We won't notice that at all underneath there. So that works out really good. We'll quickly measure the inside piece here, 3 3/4. And you're thinking, what are we going to cut it out of? We don't have a piece. Actually, we do. The little pieces we cuff out of the side are 4 7/8, and we need 3 3/4. There. Right on the money. Now we'll just cut it down to 10 1/8, and we'll cut 3 pieces. Okay, I cut that piece to 3 feet, 36 inches, which is what this was. Okay, we're going to use a jigsaw just to trim these out because it's just easy enough. And we'll do the second one. Just to recap briefly, the dimensions for the under support storage area. First off, we need 1 piece of 10 1/8 by 3 3/4. We have 2 more exactly the same size because we want to help, when we put it together, we need just some support to hold it in the right location. Next, we need 1 piece that is 36 inches by, with the gap here, of course, this is cut down at 3 3/4, and we have 6 1/4 here based on the center, and these are 45s. The third piece is 48 inch by 7 1/8, and 6 1/4 again here, 45s, 3 3/4 here. The last piece is what it is out of the top of the sheet. Depending on any recuts you have to do, it may be in or out. The width here is not important really at all. This one works out to 14 3/8. Really it doesn't matter because you're going to work off one side anyway. In the next video, we're going to put this all together and get it ready to go back in the Jeep. If you're not a subscribed member of the channel, please do so now. It really helps us grow. And also, hit the like button if you're finding these videos helpful. See ya in the next episode.